Good afternoon. It's calling the order of the meeting of the Board of Health. My name is Thomas Corey. This is Donna Strong, Tess Curran, the agent of the board. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting before or through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived by those present, and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. We have to approve the minutes of the meeting from January 29th. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to be made to the minutes of the meeting as printed?
I did not see any.
I didn't see any either.
I make a motion to accept the minutes of the meeting on January 29th.
I'll second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. We have a request for an approval for a tattoo apprentice license for Allison Pavo. Ladies first. That's how we do this here at the board. Who's presenting? Lisa. The young ladies, all the documents are in order.
Everything is here. You all have a packet in front of you. She'll be working with Aaron Gilmet at Alvin Flames Tattoo Shop, and he's here with her also.
Very good.
So
I told him he
she's all
needs a
set.
bigger studio if he keeps getting all this.
But you just had, no, he has a brand new one. It's beautiful.
Any questions? I had gone through the paperwork.
I
Everything
had gone
looked
through
okay.
it before. So I make a motion to accept her for apprenticeship with Alan. Alan?
Aaron.
Aaron.
All in favor say
Sorry.
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, next we have request for an approval for a tattoo practitioner license for Alvin Gonzalez. Alvin. Roger, you're presenting?
Yes. Alvin came before this board on, excuse me, last year on the 27th of this month.
Mhm.
The board okayed his apprenticeship. He's going through his 1-year apprenticeship with Todd and Rich,
Mhm.
okay? And everything seems to be fine. He's got all his required certifications and training. I also gave you the letter from Rick Santos stating that he and Todd did do his training, and it's been a year.
Very good. Was he a good student?
Good.
Okay, very good. Were you a good student?
Just a little
Okay, very good.
Are you going to be a good tattoo artist?
amazing.
Amazing, even. All right.
I make a motion to accept his application.
I'll second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Good luck. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think I'm the only one who voted.
All right, next we have discussion and vote to modify the guidance document entitled Proof of Ownership or Proof of Authority to Act on an Owner's Behalf. And this has something to do with
Have a good day.
swimming pools. Thank you.
That's correct. So back in, the last time we can find when this guidance document was utilized was in 2009, when a condo association came before the board to request a variance. I do have copies of those meeting minutes in the packet. I, however, am being indicated that this document alone may not be a binding document, and based on the 105 CMR 435, which is the sanitary pool code, it does indicate that the operator shall provide 1 or more lifeguards 16 years of age or older if the Board of Health determines that they are necessary for the safe use of swimming or wading pools. At this current time, it doesn't appear that the Board of Health, the Fall River Board of Health, has anything in writing that we require public and semi-public pools to have a lifeguard. Therefore, it may be wise for the board to consider putting forward a regulation that would require public and semi-public pools that our inspectors regularly inspect and license on an annual basis, to require them to have a lifeguard and or to outline the need for a variance and then the requirements for a variance.
How many pools are there with the,
20.
about 20?
What's a
That's
semi,
between indoor and outdoor.
what's a semi-public pool?
A semi-public pool would be something like a condo association
Okay.
or an
Apartment
apartment.
complex.
Okay.
anything like
Only
that.
certain people allow
So if we don't do anything,
Then we would not, the Board of Health, per my understanding of the state code, which is in your packet,
Mhm.
if the Board of Health does not require a lifeguard for a public or semi-public pool, then all the semi-public and public pools in the community wouldn't need to have a lifeguard.
I think I have a problem with that, with them not having lifeguards if they're public pools. I don't know.
And public is the Y, the
We have the
Boys
Y and the
Club.
boys, they have plenty of, I mean, they have many lifeguards at both, boys club and the YMCA.
And wouldn't their insurance require a
And
lifeguard?
that's a
So-
component that we had this guidance document that outlined that if it was a condo association, that we would require that they come before the board, and provide documentation of notifying their insurance company that they are opting not to have a lifeguard on duty. But per my understanding of the current state regulations, that it's really up to the board to determine if a lifeguard is necessary. But because we don't have anything on record, it's likely beneficial for us to put that in writing, and then to be able to request a variance,
Okay.
based on certain conditions, if the board, feels as though that's important.
Yeah.
Didn't we have this come up last year?
mm,
Some condo association, they got all their tenants
Yes,
to
they
sign.
do. They did come before the
They
board.
got all their tenants
and
to
they
sign
did-
that
They
they-
no longer wanted lifeguards, so they came
Yes.
before the board, that was last year around this time.
was that last year?
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah, because I was only on.
I remember, was it
It was. the
South
time-
Shore Drive? That was about 10 years ago.
it
No,
was-
this was
Like you said,
last
the
year.
condo
Yeah, that's-
association, so you actually have signatures where.
That was the landing,
Yeah,
Or whatever we call 700 Shore Drive.
right, yeah, the
Yes.
landing.
the landing.
the
But last
landing.
year we had one, and
We
they
had
had
one
all
day
their
too.
tenants sign that they knew there was no lifeguard on
Yeah,
duty.
the
Yeah.
26 apartments, I believe, down there, and all but one, I believe, was away, and they couldn't sign. Everybody else signed off, they needed to do that. Their
Mhm.
insurance required them to sign off on that.
I mean, I
They
think it
didn't
could
want to have-
create, an expense sometimes, if you had to have a lifeguard all day, every day, from June through September, that could create, an expense for the association, then they might not be able to have a pool.
Well, the other thing is, if we have what we did, we granted the variance, I think,
Yes.
last year, because they also said that no one used the pool.
No one used the pool.
Very,
They-
very,
they really
it
don't.
was very, very slim use of the pool.
There were no children that lived in
Yes,
those
I remember that,
apartments,
yeah.
and no children at all.
So it might be easier just to pass the regulation and come into conformity with the state, and then if they don't want to have, they can come before us and ask for the variance.
Right.
So my question would be, if we didn't pass a regulation requiring lifeguards, and somebody drowned in one of these pools in question, what's the town's legal liability because the Board of Health decided not to require lifeguards? That would be my question.
We have condos and we have apartments, and the one that we're talking about, they have many children that live there. And it's an apartment complex, it's not a condominium association.
So they can just
So-
send their kids out, no lifeguard, no,
Well, no, they have lifeguards there, but they do not wanna have them any longer.
yeah, so then they'll be able to, kids will be out there.
Well, they'll have rules and regulations, and they lock the pool, and they have a CPO, who's a certified pool operator. All pools have to have one of those also, but they're not there every day.
Right.
But by regulation, you only have to sign off once a week. So,
But an apartment building or, condo association would operate as a collective, and if they decide as a group, just like an individual homeowner, this is how I'm gonna take care of it, and if everybody agrees and that's the way they wanna do it, that should be up to them.
Mhm.
It shouldn't be forced on them, because then they would have to, do something.
But then they could come and ask for a variance if they all
Yeah,
signed
that's-
off
And if
on it.
everybody didn't want
Yeah.
it, and they all knew the liability and
Right.
passed the liability, so then,
Because that's
That
why
would
we
be
let
fine.
it go last year, because every tenant had signed
Yes.
off that they knew there was no lifeguard.
but that was their
So-
insurance policy that
Yeah,
requested that
yeah.
also. I don't know if they all do that.
Right.
I'm not sure.
You're
Well,
But
I
if we
think
made it a requirement,
we
then.
had,
Right,
we
right.
had
Make
made
it a
it a requirement even 10 years ago that we had to have a letter on the insurance company's letterhead that they were aware that there would be no lifeguard and they were accepting
But
responsibility.
you're talking condos now, right? And when are you
Well, to
gonna-
me, a pool is a pool is a pool.
Like, it's hard to get,
Yeah,
you know,
this document
sign-offs when
that
you've got
states
apartments,
that
people are moving in and out and whatever, you know?
if the
you know what I'm
pool's
saying?
owned by a condo association.
But
Mhm.
if you're moving into an apartment, you're probably signing a lease agreement, and they just put that with it.
See, that would be something you'd wanna add as a stipulation.
Mhm.
Because I would feel more
For
comfortable
variance.
having a regulation in place and asking them to come to us than arbitrarily saying nobody needs a lifeguard. And then disaster happens and I would feel really bad.
But I don't think that the variance should be like unduly withheld. I mean,
No,
if they all
no.
agree, that's, you know.
Right,
No,
but that's
I-
what we
I-
did last year.
Yeah.
They all agreed, so
Yeah.
we said, okay.
And I think that should be understood that, you know, we're not,
No, the few
Composing.
times it's come up, we've never denied the variance. We've always granted the variance.
But at
As long
least
as they
then,
go through the right
With
steps.
proper,
Right.
with proper
Yeah, I'm good with
documentation.
but at least then they would have had people sign off, they would have we would know that people knew, instead of them
Yeah.
just coming and saying, oh yeah, everybody agrees. I'm not for that.
So what the next steps will be is that I'll plan on having a draft regulation within the next month,
Mhm.
which would require, the Fall River Board of Health requires that all public and semi-public pools would have a lifeguard, or they would have to come before the board to request a
Yes.
variance. And then,
Would that draft include the variance requirements?
we can certainly.
Because I think
look
it
to-
should
Yeah,
just
so
be
then they
right in
just
there.
Yeah, so that
Right.
everyone knows what we're gonna be looking for.
Right.
And just so I'm clear, the variance requirements would be the insurance, letter of insurance,
That the insurance is aware that they won't have a
Yes.
lifeguard.
that they're opting not to have.
Right. That the
Um,
tenants sign off that they know there's no lifeguard.
Okay,
and that would, in an apartment situation, would be part of any new lease.
Yeah,
Yeah.
part of any,
So
yeah.
the-
Because that's an easy way to get it. Here's
Right.
your lease, here it is.
annual lease.
Even in condos, though, when they rent, that should be part of the lease.
Right.
too.
okay.
Now, just keep in mind, they're also in the process of changing the regulations. You know, they've been working on them for a while. They've made changes, but they're now,
They're
from what I
changing the
understand, they're
changes.
changing the changes.
Right, so
So-
we'll, but in the meantime, if we can put forward a regulation, and then if the new state codes are stronger, then we, default on the state
We'll
codes
adjust.
as always, or we could then modify the existing regulation, but this way, if, with the state, we might not have it up and running by the summer, we wanna make sure we're,
Safe. Kids are safe.
Okay, so the letter
No, I
of
agree.
insurance.
So the pools have to have locks now, or
They do now,
Yeah.
yes.
even with a lifeguard? So if you have a condo?
Yes, they have to be tested 4 times a day, and they have to have a lock.
All right.
Okay. Any other, and then, we'll certainly not limit the variance requirements to those.
Whatever the
three.
signage requirements are, the usual
Okay.
stuff.
Oh, yeah, signage that says there's no lifeguard on duty.
Yes, and that is outlined in the state law, that if the board does not, if no lifeguards are required by the Board of Health, a warning sign shall be posted in a conspicuous location and shall state warning, no lifeguard on duty, and easy to read legible letters, which have height requirements. In addition, there shall be signs which are read visibly stating children under age 16 should not use swimming pool alone without an adult in attendance, and adults should not swim alone.
So that should
that's
be
in
part
this-
of it as the,
Mhm.
and
if
the-
you opt not to, this is what
Right.
you have to have a sign
Right,
say.
and this is the state, that is part of the state
That is the state
code,
code.
but we can certainly, also include that language in
I
our
would.
local reg, okay.
Because that doesn't make it, like you said, it's not undue. This is
Yeah.
something doable that they can get a
Right.
variance.
Right, it's not.
They just have to-
financial burden on them.
No, but it also covers the city.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
Is there any new business to come before the board of such a nature that it couldn't make the agenda?
no new business, I just did wanna touch base about, I know Seth had presented to you on some of the tobacco, issues, if there's any questions or concerns, or, if you had any thoughts about moving towards any type of regulation, then, we can certainly discuss that at any time. And regarding the coronavirus, we're still following guidance from the State Department of Public Health, And while threat is increasing, risk remains low in Massachusetts. I continue to be on those calls on a regular basis, and will be able to update you with any new information that I receive. We do have just happens to, in terms of our emergency planning schedule, we do have a emergency preparedness meeting with hospitals and all of Region 5 that will discuss infectious diseases. That's been pre-planned, but it just happens to be more relevant now. So that's actually on St. Patrick's Day, so it's in the next few weeks. So I can provide an update with that information at our next.
And actually, I was just on the CDC website because I had nothing to do while I was waiting. And they aren't really calling for any untoward precautions because the risk is low at this point. And so good hand washing and your usual
The usual.
contagion precautions is
Still
all
much
that they're
more likely to
requiring.
get the flu.
Right.
I'm sorry, because I said when my kids said, Mom, you can't fly, coronavirus, I said, listen, more people die of the flu. Maybe not, I mean,
What's the requirements for vaccination for the schools? Are there exemptions that are,
There's a religious exemption and a medical exemption. That's across the state.
do we have to follow that?
We do.
You can't be more stringent than the state?
No, we're not able to. As far as I know, because of we wouldn't be able to enforce that. Is my understanding.
So we'd wait for a measles outbreak before we forced everyone to get there? It's
we
probably
wait for the parents who think they're doing so great by not vaccinating their kids. Then the others get sick.
I mean, that's what we're supposed to be here for, right?
We can certainly, I could look into it further and discuss it more, and I'll do that. But my understanding from my research during when were more measles cases happening late last year, that's more of a state issue than a local issue. But I'll get clarity on that.
Because truly, a medical issue might need documentation, but a religious issue, anybody can claim that and therefore not vaccinate their kids.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Right.
you could say anything.
That's what I mean.
You know, you could say you're a Pastafarian and you don't believe in vaccination.
Right. Yeah, and there's no documentation required.
That's what I mean. So
Yeah.
anybody could,
Right.
I mean, it's an easy out.
Right, it's not, it can't be, technically, it's not supposed to be a personal belief, but, it's supposed to be limited to the medical or the religious, but again, if they're not enforcing or requiring any, documentation of religious background or anything like that, then, we just have to take people's word.
We all know vaccinations aren't foolproof.
Right.
I went to urgent care with terribly sick, wanted to make sure I wasn't going to infect the patients. He said, you have influenza A, you should have got a flu shot. I said, see this badge? I did. It does, I mean, it's not foolproof, but at least it's the best you can do.
Right. Okay. I'll have an update for you next month regarding that.
Okay. Under citizens' input, let the record show there's no one here to input.
Well, they're citizens.
No, I don't like the cameras.
Confirm date for the next meeting?
So apparently, is it Kathy? Kathy, right?
Yes, this is Kathy.
Said that they're having trouble getting Wednesday meetings because it's a busy meeting day. Is there any other day that for you, or is
Well,
it because?
we could utilize it? Would the hearing room is typically booked any late afternoons on Wednesdays. Let me just pull up my email from Allison.
I know, that's what I was looking for, 'cause I did bring it with me. Oh, it's in here.
So
And I could do Tuesday or Thursday, but I'm not covered in the labor room, so if I had to go, I had to go. That's the only difference.
Let me just. So the
Years
license.
ago.
And you said
Unless you
the
want-
last Tuesday of the month.
No, the last Wednesday, like
month.
today, the fourth Wednesday of the month.
Mhm.
I have a 6 o'clock meeting in Rhode Island, so now I'm doing this.
Unless you want to do Friday morning, I have coverage
Right.
then.
So if we are able to do a 4 o'clock time,
Mhm.
then we could do the first Wednesday or the third Wednesday.
I'm
Um,
okay with that, it's just the
No, if-
fourth
if-
Wednesday that's a
If we
problem.
move to the first Wednesday, that would solve your problem with the fourth Wednesday. That's okay with me.
And the
Is that
third
all
one's
right?
okay with me too.
First Wednesday?
And we would just, there is a meeting in the council hearing room at 5:15, so we would, usually our meetings don't run
Yeah.
very long. But if we have a public hearing that, is lengthy, we may have to shift that, but.
But we can utilize the atrium. So, how does April 1st look? April Fool's Day?
Mhm.
It's the first day of the month?
Okay. It's fine by me.
I
that
will
way.
see you guys.
I'll still be here, I hope.
Well, we hope so too.
I hope so.
So it's gonna be 4 o'clock, right?
At 4
At-
PM, that's
at
still
4
the
p.m.
best
April
time for
1st
you,
at 4
Dr.
p.m.
April
Gagliardi?
1st at
4 PM is
4
good,
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Having no other business before the board, we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Thank you all.